What's going on, guys? It's Michael from GPURisers.com. Welcome back to the bunker, and in today's video we are going to start our rig build on the RX 6600 XTs. Now, I've been wanting to get these cards going for a while now. It is clearing up our rack filled with graphics cards that we do want to get online as soon as possible. This was kind of the bulk of them. Now, they might only hash at around 32 on ETH hash. However, we are going to be putting 12 of these on a single rig. So I know in the last video, I was talking a lot about the RTX 3090 build that we did do and how we are going to be putting it into that case. However, I just ordered new fan mounts for it, which I did find on eBay for about 18 bucks. So it looks like I will be able to actually fit 8 of our GPURisers.com fans onto this frame, which again, if you missed last video, doing so and switching into the larger Veta frame will give about 3/4 of an inch more spacing between these RTX 3090s. So I'm not gonna get all too into that. I will do a separate video of installing it on there. I probably will install it before I get the fan mounts for it. And I'll do an analysis on the heat difference. Like I said, these still are thermal throttling. So I'll cover that in the video when I do transfer this over. It will be sometime soon. But in today's video, I did want to get started on this rig build. So just a quick overview of what we are using. We are using 4 of these Gigabyte Gaming Overclock Pro. So the second card we will be using is an XFX Merc 308. It does look like they use the same design as they did in the 5700s and 5700 XTs. I believe it was called a triple dissipation or something along the lines of that. And I do, like that design, so I'm glad they kept it. And for the last 4 cards, we will be using the Power Color Red Devils. These are a low-end card for mining or just in general, a 6600 XT. So the design, I'm sure, is not going to be as cool as the 6900 XTs or the 6800 XTs, but it is a higher-end model from Power Color, so I am excited to have these on there. We will be using 12 of our GPURisers.com 8 capacitor risers. We will be using I believe 6 or actually 9. I do believe 9 of our all-white 18 AWG splitter cables. We will be using 8 of our GPURisers.com 120mm fans, which can be found in the rest of our farm as we do grow. And then we will be using a generic B250 motherboard that does support 12 cards. It's the same board as the other one where it's the USBs rather than the 1X slots on there. We will be using a 8GB Ballistics DDR4 RAM, a G4400. I'm not sure if you can see it through the plastic there, but it is a G4400 CPU along with an Arctic CPU cooler. Now, we will again be using a 1600 watt EVGA power supply. And the reason for that, again, is, I do love these power supplies, very biased towards EVGA and their products and these 1600 watt power supplies in general. However, we do have a 1300 watt power supply over there, which would be more than enough to actually power all 12 of these cards because they do only draw about 70 watts. However, after looking into it, each card I will be running off of a splitter cable. So one VGA 8-pin port from a power supply will power 2 cards. So with the 12 cards, we will be powering all of them with the 8-pin splitters. That means that we need a total of 6 8-pins from the power supply, and our 1300 watt power supply does have 6 available 8-pins, which in theory means that we should be able to power all of these cards with a 1300 watt power supply, no problem, but then we would only be left with 2 peripheral ports to power the risers with Molex. And these are very low wattage cards. It is perfectly fine to power them via Molex. However, I decided to choose the 1600 watt just because there's not enough Molex connections on the 1300 watt for 12 of these cards, whereas this one will have 3 available 8 pins left over, which then on splitters again can power a total of 6 of the risers. And then we will be able to have an additional 3 Molex strands powering 6 more risers, 2 risers per Molex strand, and then I think this will all be fine and dandy. So I'm going to split this video up into a couple. Doing 12 cards is a lot. I have not done an AMD build in a very long time, so I'm sure I'm going to come into some kind of hiccups and stuff like that. I probably will be installing, I want to say 4 at a time I think that's going to be the best way to do this. Just in case there are some problems, we have, you know, 3 different model cards, so I'll do it, you know, that seems like the right way to do this. I'll make sure the overclocks are good, make sure everything like that, then I'll add the next 4 and then the final 4. So that said, I will be building these on a, oh, you can actually see we still have the strobe light, but I do have new ones over there, so hopefully those are installed sometime soon. I have a generic 12 GPU frame right here. It's the same one as over here, except it's black. We are going to have white ones available, hopefully very shortly, sometime in December. However, there's been, you know, some hiccups with these, so I will be building this on a generic one. But all of that said, I will go ahead and put this frame together for now. And then once I get that frame up, I'll probably clear out some of these cards and start building it. So that said, we'll see you guys back here in a second. All right, guys, we're back. I did turn off the lighting in the bunker. I am just using the studio lighting for now. The strobe light was giving me kind of a headache. So I have the 12 card frame built. I did hold off on putting the fan pieces on because I am going to be putting the fans on the outside, much like this rig right here. I also did it on this rig. That's just because I feel like when these were originally designed, it was more so with the intention of smaller cards, kind of like, you know, using a, you know, like a single model, you know, RX 580 or whatever it may be, lining it up and seeing that it all fits. But, you know, all these graphics cards are so different that I'm just going to, you know, for future-proof reasons, put them on the outside just to make sure no matter what I do in the future with this frame, swap out whatever cards, they will be able to fit. Now you can see here, I did put the lower level bar that holds the risers and cards further away on this level than I did on this level. And that's because the 1600 watt power supply that I will be using is just, you know, extremely long and it actually goes to like right about here. So I do need the bottom bar being furthest away. So yeah, that's why I am doing it that way. Also, if you see right here, I did actually use liquid nails to put in the motherboard screws onto this frame. I did not get a set of screws when this frame was shipped to me, so I've been kind of using, you know, the different parts that I have laying around, and the threads on these were just a tad too small for the frame, so instead of going off and getting new ones, I just put liquid nails on it. So sometimes with building stuff, you kind of got to add your little special touches to it to make it work correctly. There's some things in life, and especially with building rigs, where the juice is just simply not worth the squeeze. So that said, I am going to let that dry. I am going to go ahead and get the 8 white LED fans that we have and put them onto these 2 bars and get those installed right here while the liquid nails is drying. So let me go ahead and get to that. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we now have 8 of our GPURisers.com 120mm fans installed onto this frame. As you can see here, we are just going to be daisy chaining these Molex cables together, and we did design them like that just so that, you know, regardless of what frame you have, if you have one that has 6, one that has 3, one that has 8, whatever it may be, it'll all connect and all work together. No hubs, no anything crazy like that. So they look good, they're simple, easy to use, low wattage, so that's why we made them. Anyways, these liquid nails are still a little bit wet in there, so I don't want to put the motherboard in just yet. So I probably will go ahead and get this 1600 watt EVGA put into there. I actually should do that before the motherboard. I've mentioned in a couple other videos, when you do the power supply last, you can kind of crunch the motherboard a little bit. And when I say crunch, I'm talking about this area right here. It will be almost touching the top of the motherboard. So that said, let's go ahead and get the power supply taken out. I am going to be utilizing all 9 VGA ports and also 3 Molex strands. So I'm going to go ahead and up here, I will take it out, put all the connections on, and then once everything is all put together, I will go ahead and install it on the frame. We are using this fold-up table still. I'm looking for like a rolling toolbox, but they're all like super expensive. I'm not sure really where to go to find one that's fairly priced. So at the time of filming this video, Black Friday is literally right around the corner. So I will be on the lookout for like a little rolling toolbox. That way I don't have to balance everything on grades. I'm just one day a huge thing of screws will fall straight through there. and I know it's bound to happen. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to be preventative and get one of those rolling toolboxes sooner than later. So that said, let me go ahead and get our EVGA 1600 watt power supply taken out and put on. All right guys, so I have the 1600 watt EVGA power supply out, and I have all the cables plugged in that we need and ready to go. While hooking it all up, I did notice something. The 1600G Plus is different than what I'm used to. It's their newer rendition, their newer model that does replace the G2. And with that comes, a couple different changes. One being there's 4 8-pin to single 8-pin from the power supply, and then there's 5 8-pin to dual 8-pin straight from the power supply. So what I mean by that is, here's an example. On the G2 power supplies, it would be a 8-pin like this, and then a 6-pin. There was not an option to have an 8-pin. So there's 5 cables coming from the power supply like this. So what I'm actually going to do, and I haven't done this before, is I'm going to connect an 8-pin splitter to both of these. So a single 8-pin coming from the power supply will actually be turned into 4 8-pin connections. Now, I would highly advise against something like this in a normal, computer build. If you're using 3090s, of course, 3070 Ti's, things of that nature. But these cards are only going to be pulling about 70 watts. So what I'm going to do with these cords is I'm going to have one 8-pin going off from here to power 2 cards, and then the other 8-pin is going to go to another splitter to power 2 risers. So a single 8-pin from the power supply should never exceed 255 watts. And our splitter cables over here, white and black, I'm just choosing white for this rig build. These are true 18 AWG cables. So these are good up until 255 watts. I've tested them personally. They do not get warm at all. And I've never had an issue with these. It's very important to get 18 AWG cables. As an example, I know I said it before, but a single 8-pin, this one, will branch off with a splitter cable to power 2 of these cards, pulling a total of 140 watts. This cable will go off and power 2 risers. Now, I'm guessing the power draw from the risers will be close to 5 to 10 watts each. Let's just say 10, bringing it to a total of 20. So 140 plus 20 is 160 watts pulled from the power supply, which is well under the 255 watts that an 8-pin is capable of producing. So that said, I am going to go ahead and give that a try in this build. I've not seen other YouTubers do it, but I figured it would be a good little experiment to do. I don't see why there would be any issues with it. That said, we will be using a total of 14 splitters on this one rig build to power 12 of these 6600 XTs. And of course, I didn't mention before, we will be using our GPURisers boot drives. We have our branded SSDs. So I just wanted to give one little tidbit. I am going to now be putting this into the frame. These liquid nails are not drying as well as I thought they would. I'm not saying that it's not working, it's just it's still getting movement in there. I don't really want to screw in the motherboard until those are fully in so that I can tighten the motherboard on to the rig frame. But let's see how that goes. For now, I am going to be installing this power supply and we'll be right back. All right, guys, I got everything all together. I did put the power supply in and I went ahead and put the motherboard in. The liquid nails seemed somewhat dry, but I am going to go ahead and let that dry overnight before I plug in the motherboard and CPU. I did, however, get the splitter cables plugged in to the, the 8 pins right here. You can kind of see how one, 8 pin turns into, 4 8 pins. It's important to make sure, all of these are not going into, 4 cards. You're not trying to power 4 cards with a single splitter. Or power 4 cards with a single 8-pin, 2 splitters to then 4 total 8 pins. However, taking one strand like this and powering 2 of these cards and the applicable risers, I think will be just fine. So we'll give that a test tomorrow. I'll go ahead and get 4 of these installed tomorrow. Maybe I'll get more installed tomorrow. I don't know. When you're in the GPURisers mining bunker, time seems to just stay still. There are no, windows in this place. It is just it's a bunker. And the way that they had this laid out, everything is insulated. So I don't know if it's raining. I don't know anything. It's like sensory deprivation in here, which is a good thing and a bad thing, I guess. You know, when working kind of in an environment like this, it is quiet, it's peaceful, not many distractions, but you know, it'll become midnight a lot quicker than you originally thought. That said, I am gonna go ahead and cut the video here. These are meant to be, you know, daily vlogs, not really, you know, building a RTX, you know, 3070 Ti rig or anything like that. They are kind of going to be like that in the beginning because, like I said, that is, you know, what we are doing daily right now. We are building rigs. However, there will come a time where, you know, the rigs are kind of, you know, built up here, they go over there, and then we're gonna have other projects that we will be doing. But we have the space, we have the cards, and we want to fill this place up. And the cards that we don't have here are at, you know, a higher electricity rate, so we want to bring them here. But that is all in due time. I am still looking for a conference table for right here. We are going to be moving these racks down. I figured a conference table would be best for like a studio type layout where I could stand behind it and have things behind me. But we're having trouble finding a conference table that's a reasonable price. So again, that said, I am going to be cutting it here. Tomorrow I will be back here and I will be installing the RX 6600 XTs. I'm hoping that they're relatively simple. You know, if I can get all of them installed you know, relatively quickly, it'll just all be in one video. But again, I don't want to have a, you know, 30-minute daily vlog of troubleshooting everything. So I think it's best to split it up. And also I have a lot of other projects that I am working on. So it's hard to dedicate, you know, an entire, you know, half a day to stuff like this. I know it seems pretty snappy and quick when you're doing, you know, the videos or watching the videos. However, it's, as you can see here, I'm missing some screws for some things. So in between cuts and everything like that, I am looking around, rummaging through, you know, the GPURisers stuff. So there's always things that take a little bit of time, and trying to allocate as much time as I can while remaining sane. But all of that said, again, thank you guys so much for watching our videos. We appreciate it so much. We're so excited to do this. We're so excited to, you know, show you guys what we're doing here every day. And we're so excited to see all the other projects that come out of this. But I hope everyone watching this has a great rest of their day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.